Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm closing a pair of Lefarc Flesh-Out Nutshell Dune-Docker uppers. So I've already cut everything out and skived and marked them, and the video is mostly going to focus on gluing, assembling, and stitching. Alright, let's get started.
Okay.
Here I'm gluing along the back seam, and I'll stick these together before stitching them on the zigzag machine. The glue holds everything in place so that when I'm done, the tops of the boot opening is aligned properly, and it just helps me feed into the machine. This zigzag stitch doesn't do a whole lot. Once the upper is fully closed, the back panel, the heel cap, is going to hold that joint together much more than this little stitch can do. But I can't really assemble the shoe without stitching these two panels together first. Here I'm marking out and clicking the vamp lining. Clicking is a shoemaking term. It's used in other trades, and it basically just means cutting out the panels. With this very stretchy leather, I find it's easier to be pulling on one side of the leather as you cut, and you can kind of guide the leather through the knife rather than just dragging the knife over the leather.
Right.
These are the quarter lining.
Yeah, I guess the music was just that much
behind
better.
the eyelets, basically.
But I don't know who knows what kind of music they'd actually been writing for that.
Closing the upper is another industry term, and as you can see in this video, it basically just means gluing and stitching everything. But I think they call it closing because the shoe starts off as two halves, or almost like three pieces, the quarters and the vamp. And then you close them to create the upper, which is then pulled over the last. Here I'm abrading the vamp, and this makes the glue stick a lot better. So later on, after I've lasted the shoe, when I peel back the stitch down area, I won't be able to peel the lining and the vamp off of each other. You can see here that I'm not gluing the very toe area. That's because when I'm lasting the shoe, I'm going to fully last the toe lining, and then I need the vamp to slide over the toe lining. So I'm going to use a different slow setting glue when I do that part. That way I won't have any wrinkles or bunched up leather from the lining. This little drop of glue holds the lining down so that I don't stitch over it while I'm closing the upper. Okay. This sewing machine does not have reverse, so if I want to backstitch, I have to actually turn the piece around and stitch over the original holes.
No.
Anytime you see me moving the needle by hand like this, chances are I'm putting it exactly in a pre-existing hole, or just trying not to overshoot.
We were just talking, and she was like, yeah, I work at NextFab, which is like a maker space. Because I can go into the woods. But for a girl, it might be a little tough. That's better.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Here I'm just erasing the heat erasable pen marks.
You don't have to get the whole process, but
Braiding these surfaces before gluing them really strengthens the bond. The stitching and the glue work together to make it really, really difficult to break this joint apart.
So unfortunately, Emery's father, his name, he was called
Pip.
Pip. And he, that was the beginning of his Alzheimer's.
What was?
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So that's what it
yeah,
was.
yeah. But the, and you know, when her brother talked to the people
See,
who
if
worked
you had
with
asked me how old I thought he was when that happened, I would have said 30 or less.
him, he was, you know, still working in his 70s, I think. But anyway,
You'd be crazy to keep working until 70.
yeah, he would be.
Especially if you had money in the stock market.
You used to have money in the stock market.
2000.
know, when's the next, how late am I going to be tossing and turning here? You have an easier time falling asleep if you think it would help, which I do. Or, I mean, I think even if you only read the first chapter, which just lays out a ton of information I found really helpful, you know.
The reason I leave the panel that I
guess it
just
depends what you wanna
finished
do, but if you-
on
if
the
your goal
post
is
bed
to be
and
awake
then start the
during
new one
day
is
and sleep at
because
night,
every time I pull the panel off and
the
trim
book
the
would have a
thread,
lot to say about the way
I have to
you-
waste like 6 to 8 inches of bobbin thread, and this makes it so I'm less likely to have to stop and refill a bobbin, especially in the middle of a run of stitches, which is not what I want to do.
And she said the population was still under 300 people.
300.
But the house he grew up in is huge
Really?
for battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but his father was actually killed when he was 2 years old.
Between these 2 layers of leather, I have to put the leather heel counter, which is very thick. And so I stretch the outside layer, the heel cap, up towards the top of it. And this gives the shoe a 3-dimensional shape before it's ever put on the last and makes room for that leather counter.
I should have called this business Bloody Knuckles Boots. I feel like that's what I do every day is shave my knuckles off on the belt sander or smack them.
And now for the hardest part of closing, which is stitching the vamp to the quarters. First I'm going to stitch one side and then I'll stitch the other. So I'll do all of the right sides on each upper and then go back and do all of the lefts. And that way, when I'm doing the right sides, I can leave the upper open and kind of flat. It's easier to manipulate on the sewing machine. Stitching these quarters is always a challenge because I don't want to leave threads starting and stopping right at the edge of the quarter like that, but I can only use the needle guide when the panel I'm stitching is on the left side. So basically I have to run down and then turn around and go back up, and when I turn around and go back up, I can't use the needle guide. You have to think about what you're going to do in advance so that you can get the best stitch without seeing the stitches, having to pull the threads through, tie knots underneath, and get everything nice and straight. It's difficult, especially when the shoe is closed, so you're stitching a really 3-dimensional object. You can see that I didn't like my technique on the first one. So on this one, I'm doing the second row first so that I don't have a thread starting and ending up at the top of the quarter where you can see it. So now I'm going to swing that needle guide down and stitch the first row. Now I've got the uppers closed all the way, so the boot takes on a three-dimensional shape, and it's a little harder to stitch. That's why I leave them not glued together until I've already done all of the right sides, for example. This also means that, as opposed to the other side, the row of stitches that I can do with the needle guide down is backwards. So basically, I'm heading towards the front of the quarter with the needle guide down rather than away from it. I think these uppers turned out really well, except for the fact that I used the wrong lining. So I ended up taking every stitch out of that band, tearing everything apart, putting in a canvas lining like it was supposed to have, and then stitching the entire thing back together, all hitting the original holes. So that was a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please like and ask me any questions in the comments. See ya.